Now let's talk about the root user. So the AWS root user is an initial user who creates the account, or it is created when you sign up for an AWS account. So this user has got complete access to all the AWS services and resources in an account and has full administrative privileges, which means they can create, modify, or even delete any resources in the account, right? So when you sign up for an AWS account, the first username or your email address and the password that you give, so that will be your root account. And a root account has got full privileges, administrative access. That means you cannot deny anything from the root user. A root user is even able to delete the entire account. So it is always recommended not to use a root user. As soon as you create a root user, go ahead and create a user or a role for yourself, right? And then start using that user or role. Because if you go ahead and use root user, sometimes if you make any mistake, it will be a serious problem for you, right? And also set up multi-factor authentication for root user. So if you want me to make a video on multi-factor authentication, so let me know in the comments section. Okay, next let's move to the second point. As the root user, you have access to sensitive information such as billing details, security credentials, and the ability to change account level settings. It's important to secure your root user account and use it only when necessary. So you root user has got access to your billing information. You can get the billing information of your account, how much you have consumed. You can get the security report for your account. All those things you will be able to get as a root user. But if you are using an administrator user or a normal user, you won't have that permission. If you see right now, I've logged in as a normal user. It is not my root user credential. So if you see here, I'm getting an error saying that you need permission for doing this, or you need permission to access this. But as a root user, you will be having full access to this. Okay, so that is the second point. AWS recommends that you create an IAM user with administrative permissions and use instead of root user for day-to-day tasks. I have even mentioned this one. As soon as you create a root user, go ahead and create a new user and start using that for your day-to-day tasks. Okay, so this is the best practice to follow as it reduces the risk of accidental changes to your AWS environment, and it also improves the security by limiting access to the root user account. Okay, additionally, users using IAM users allow you to audit and monitor access and actions performed within your AWS account, so making it easier to track and troubleshoot issues. Okay, if you're going with a root account, if you make any mistake, you won't be able to identify who made what mistake there. But if you have users, different users, right? So you will understand by going through the credential report, or you can go through the logs. Then you can see who made what mistake there, right? You can go and check the logs, right? So that is another concept which we will be going through in the coming sessions. But it is easier to identify, and it will be improves the security by limiting access to the user account also. The root user is similar to the concept of Unix root or Windows administrator user, right? It has full privileges to do anything in the account, including the including closing the account. So I mentioned this very importantly, because if you make any mistake, if you unfortunately delete or close the account, then everything will be gone. So be careful while using your root account. So the root user can be used for both console and programmatic access to AWS. Now, whatever you are seeing, this is AWS console. But if you want to go through your, programmatic access, I will show you how to access AWS console programmatically also in the coming lectures. So you can do that. Root user has full privilege and he can do whatever he or she wants in the particular AWS account, right? So that's about AWS root user. In the next lesson, we'll see what are IAM users.